chosen one. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That strange heaviness when you try to return to the places that once felt like home. The silence that meets you when you reach for what used to comfort you, but now feels empty. It's not confusion. It's not rejection. It's God moving you. Heaven has already shifted your coordinates, and your spirit knows it. That's why your peace no longer lives where it used to. That's why certain people can't reach you anymore. Not because they changed, but because you ascended. You're standing at the invisible border between what was and what's coming. And though part of you wants to hold on, God is whispering, let it go. I can't bless what you refuse to release. You see, chosen one, before every elevation comes divine separation. God removes what cannot survive the altitude of your next season. The old version of you has completed its assignment, and the new one is already being born. That's why the familiar is fading. That's why the conversations feel shallow. That's why the plans that once excited you no longer fit. Heaven is detoxing your atmosphere, clearing your path, and rewriting your timeline. This isn't loss, it's launch. You're not being abandoned, you're being advanced. God is not taking things away, He's making space for what's sacred. So when everything you've known begins to fall apart, don't panic. It's the sound of alignment. It's the sound of heaven preparing you for the reality that already belongs to you. The old can't follow you where you're going, and the next chapter won't open until your hands are free. You're not moving backward, you're being moved, and soon you'll see why. There's a restlessness inside you lately that you can't explain. You wake up feeling both heavy and expectant, like something is ending, but something else is waiting to begin. The things that used to feel like home no longer comfort you. The conversations that once fed you now drain your energy. And when you try to ignore it, your spirit grows louder, whispering again and again, you can't stay here. Chosen one, this isn't anxiety, it's not confusion, it's divine movement. What you're feeling is the vibration of heaven, rearranging your atmosphere. When God is about to shift your season, the first sign is discomfort. He lets you feel out of place in the places that no longer carry His purpose for you. You start to sense the walls closing in, not to trap you, but to guide you toward the door that's opening. You've been praying for clarity, haven't you? You've asked, God, show me what's next. Show me what to do. But clarity doesn't always come through visions or voices. Sometimes it comes through restlessness. Sometimes God won't tell you to move. He'll simply make it impossible to stay the same. Your heart begins to rebel against mediocrity. Your mind starts rejecting what no longer grows you. You can't enjoy certain things anymore, not because you're broken, but because you're being upgraded. Heaven is recalibrating your inner compass. Every time you feel that inner tension, it's not a sign of failure. It's the pulse of destiny pushing through. Ask yourself, what if the agitation in your spirit isn't punishment, but preparation? What if the unease you feel is heaven's alarm clock, waking you up to the reality that your old season is expiring? You're not being abandoned, you're being activated. The shaking you feel is the sound of chains falling away from the parts of you that have been too comfortable for too long. Sometimes God answers your prayer for more by removing your peace from less. You stop fitting in because you're no longer meant to. That restlessness is proof that your growth has outpaced your environment. What used to hold you can no longer contain you. And so the divine energy inside you begins to push, not out of rebellion, but out of rebirth. You'll notice that certain rooms feel smaller, certain people feel distant, and certain dreams start to dissolve. Don't mourn that. It's confirmation. When heaven prepares to elevate you, it creates divine discomfort. You can't rise while clinging to what keeps you grounded. You can't evolve while remaining loyal to your old limitations. Think about this. Could it be that your unanswered prayers were never ignored, but delayed until your spirit matured enough to move differently? Could it be that this strange spiritual ache you feel is God's way of saying, you're done learning here? Every ending that confuses you is simply the beginning of the place you once prayed to reach. You're not losing control. You're learning surrender. You're not being pushed out. You're being carried forward. The restlessness is the signal, the sacred confirmation that the chapter you've been living has served its purpose. It doesn't mean it was wrong. It means it's complete. So when you feel that inner stirring, don't numb it, don't silence it, don't fight it. Sit in it. Listen. Because restlessness is never random. It's the Spirit of God whispering, "Rise, beloved. It's time to go." And though your mind may crave certainty, your soul already knows the truth. The place that no longer fits you can no longer hold you. You've felt it for a while now, haven't you? That quiet ache that keeps repeating, "There's more." You're right. There is. Why familiar places no longer feel like home? There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when the familiar starts to feel foreign. You look around and realize the people, routines, and spaces that once brought comfort now leave you empty. The laughter feels forced. The conversations echo without meaning. You try to return to what once healed you, but it doesn't work anymore. It's as if heaven quietly changed the locks on the doors you used to walk through. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply outgrew what was never meant to hold your next version. God has been transforming you silently, even when you didn't realize it. The things that once matched your frequencies can no longer resonate with your spirit. You've been stretched, refined, and expanded, and the environment that once sustained you no longer has the oxygen to support your evolution. That's why you felt misplaced, even among people you love. It's not that they're bad, it's that your purpose and their pace are no longer aligned. Heaven has accelerated your timeline, and the old rhythm of your life can't keep up with the song your spirit is now singing. Have you noticed how small talk exhausts you now? How gossip, negativity, or shallow energy drain you faster than before? That's not sensitivity, that's spiritual maturity. Your soul is becoming selective about what it entertains because it knows what it's protecting. The old you could tolerate chaos, but the new you thrives only in peace. The more you awaken, the less compatible you become with what's asleep. Sometimes, God doesn't close doors. He simply removes your peace from rooms that no longer serve your destiny. The discomfort you feel isn't rejection, it's relocation. It's heaven's way of saying, you've learned what you needed here. Now, move forward. But here's the painful part. Leaving the familiar often feels like loss. The human heart mourns what the soul has already released. You look back and ask, why does this no longer feel like home? The answer is simple but sacred, because it's not your home anymore. The version of you that belonged there no longer exists. Think of a bird whose wings have grown too wide for its cage. The cage didn't shrink. The bird expanded. You've been praying for growth, and God is answering that prayer by making the old space uncomfortable. You were never meant to build a nest in a place designed only to teach you how to fly. Ask yourself, how long will you keep returning to places that no longer see who you've become? How long will you shrink to stay accepted by environments that no longer speak your language? You can't bring divine energy into a space that resists transformation, and you can't expect those still living in shadows to understand your light. God is not punishing you by removing your comfort. He's protecting your promise. Familiarity can become the enemy of purpose when it blinds you to what's ahead. The people and patterns that once fit your life were assignments, not destinations. When their lesson ends, the door begins to close, not out of cruelty, but out of care. So when everything starts to feel unfamiliar, thank God. It means heaven is promoting you. The silence, the distance, the sudden detachment, it's all a sign that your soul is being reprogrammed for what's next. You're being prepared for divine environments that match your new vibration. The place you called home was never meant to be permanent. It was preparation. God used it to grow your roots, teach your strength, and reveal your faith. But now, He's calling you to bloom elsewhere. So let the old rooms echo, let the doors close softly behind you. Don't chase what heaven is releasing. Walk forward, not because you're certain of what's next, but because your spirit recognizes when a chapter has finished its song. And when you finally step into the new space God has been preparing, you'll understand why nothing from the past could stay. The old you was home there, but the real you, the chosen you, was never meant to remain. There are moments when you don't get to choose when to let go. Heaven decides for you. The friendships that fade, the opportunities that crumble, the doors that close without warning, they all carry the fingerprint of divine intervention. You think you've lost something, but in truth, you've been rescued from a version of your life that could no longer hold your destiny. Chosen one, God knows how hard it is for you to release what once made you feel safe. You hold on because your heart is loyal, your faith is deep, and your love runs wide. But when heaven moves, it moves without negotiation. When the time comes for you to rise, God will remove everything that keeps your wings tied to the ground. Have you ever noticed how certain things you used to chase suddenly stop chasing you back? How the people you used to fight to keep just start disappearing? That's not coincidence. That's divine choreography. Heaven doesn't need your permission to protect you. When the spiritual realm sees that something is contaminating your peace or delaying your purpose, it begins the process of detachment, even if your heart isn't ready. You'll feel it first as confusion. You'll ask, why did this end so suddenly? Or why do I feel like something's missing? But the truth is, what's missing isn't a person or a thing. It's the weight that heaven just lifted off your shoulders. God won't let you carry what could break your spirit. And sometimes the only way He can get you to drop it is by letting it fall apart. Think about the moments you've cried over closed doors. What if those tears weren't grief, but cleansing? What if heaven was washing away what you couldn't release on your own? There are attachments you didn't even realize were limiting your growth. Patterns, relationships, mindsets. So God, in His mercy, begins to unweave them thread by thread, until all that's left is your truth. It's painful, yes, but every divine detachment is an act of love disguised as loss. Heaven will break your heart before the world breaks your purpose. You may feel abandoned, but you're actually being redirected. Every removal is a realignment. Every ending is a hidden escort to your next beginning. Ask yourself, how many times has God had to take something from you because you wouldn't walk away? How many sleepless nights were really the voice of heaven saying, "This is not your home anymore. You're not cursed, chosen one. You're being cleared." The path you're walking now requires lightness. Every unnecessary weight, every emotional tie, every spiritual distraction is being stripped from you. When heaven forces detachment, it's because it sees what's ahead. You can't step into divine acceleration while carrying human attachments that drain your power. That's why you're being called to surrender what doesn't align. It's not rejection, it's redirection. God isn't taking from you. He's trading your comfort for your calling. Imagine a seed deep in the soil. To the world, it looks buried, but to heaven, it's being positioned. You too have been covered, hidden under endings that look like loss, but are really beginnings. The isolation, the silence, the distance, all of it is part of your sanctification process. Letting go hurts, but holding on to what God has released will hurt far worse. So trust the detachment. Trust that heaven knows what your heart doesn't. Every goodbye whispered by God is followed by a promise only your spirit can hear. You're not losing people. You're losing distractions. You're not being isolated. You're being incubated. You're not being left behind. You're being lifted higher. When heaven forces you to detach, it's never to leave you empty. It's to make room for everything that's been waiting for your surrender. The chapter may close, but the story is far from over. And soon, chosen one, you'll look back and thank God for every door he closed, because each one became the wind beneath your wings. Sometimes, chosen one, what you call rejection, is really redirection. The people who walked away, the plans that didn't unfold, the paths that closed suddenly, none of them were accidents. They were protection. You thought you were losing something important, but heaven saw what you couldn't. God saw the traps that were hidden in the comfort zones you kept praying to stay in. You've been asking for peace, haven't you? But peace isn't given by adding things to your life. It's given by removing what disturbs it. And so, heaven starts separating you, not because you're unworthy, but because you're worthy of more. God knows what's being said behind closed doors. He knows the intentions people hide behind smiles. He knows what energy weaken your spirit. And he will never let you stay somewhere that could destroy your purpose. Have you ever wondered why certain friendships dissolved so easily after you started praying for clarity? Why someone's absence suddenly brought you peace instead of pain? That's divine protection. The silence that followed wasn't emptiness. It was space being made for new alignments. God doesn't need your approval to defend your destiny. He will create distance where your discernment was too gentle to. Sometimes the separation isn't physical, it's energetic. You're in the same room, but your souls are no longer connected. The conversation feels forced. The bond feels faded, and your spirit just doesn't recognize that frequency anymore. That's how heaven tells you this chapter has served its purpose. It hurts because the human heart craves consistency, but the soul demands evolution. When those two forces collide, it feels like breaking. But really, it's becoming. You are not meant to remain surrounded by what was meant to test you. The people who were lessons cannot walk with the version of you that carries the promise. Think of Abraham leaving his homeland without knowing where he was going. Think of Ruth walking away from Moab after loss. Think of Jesus stepping away from the crowd to pray alone. Every elevation began with separation. Before the miracle comes movement, and before the blessing comes breaking. Ask yourself, what if the pain of separation is the price of divine protection? What if God is hiding you in plain sight so the wrong hands never touch what's holy inside you? Some attacks never reached you, not because they weren't sent, but because heaven intercepted them. The people you thought you lost might have been the very ones planning to pull you off your path. Chosen one, you've been protected more times than you've been aware. The unanswered texts, the sudden silences, the plans that fell apart, all of it was God standing between you and destruction. The door didn't close because you weren't good enough. It closed because what was behind it wasn't good for you. Heaven's protection often feels like heartbreak at first. You cry over people who were never meant to understand you. You question why certain things had to end. But with time, you begin to see the pattern. Every loss carved out more room for what was truly aligned. Every departure brought you closer to your destiny. The truth is, you don't need everyone to go with you. You need the right ones. And sometimes you won't find them until the wrong ones leave. Separation refines your circle until only purity remains. People who pray for you, not preying on you. So the next time someone leaves unexpectedly, whisper thank you. Thank heaven for seeing what you couldn't. Thank the divine for removing what your heart was too kind to release. Because every separation that felt like the end was actually the beginning of your protection story. God is guarding your destiny like a secret weapon, hidden, holy, and untouched. You may feel alone, but you are surrounded by angels. You may feel forgotten, but you are being fortified. Don't chase what walked away. Don't reopen doors heaven sealed shut. Because what God separates, He does so permanently, thus not to punish, but to preserve. You're not being kept out of something, you're being kept for something. And when it arrives, you'll understand why He had to hide you first. How to release what was never meant to stay. Letting go is one of the hardest things a chosen one will ever have to do. Not because you lack strength, but because your love runs deep. You see the potential in people. You remember the good moments, the promises, the glimpses of what could have been. But sometimes, God doesn't want you to fix what's broken. He wants you to release it. You can't heal what heaven is trying to remove. You can't keep watering what God has already declared finished. The energy you spend trying to make things work that were never meant to last only delays the blessings that are already waiting for you. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's understanding that not everything you love is meant to stay, and not everything that stays is meant to be loved forever. Chosen one, you've spent enough time trying to resuscitate what's spiritually expired. Heaven is whispering now, you did your part. You learned the lesson. Now let it go. The moment you release what was never meant for you, divine acceleration begins. The hands that are busy holding on can't receive the new. Have you noticed how your peace disappears when you force what's no longer flowing? How heavy your spirit feels when you revisit old conversations, trying to find meaning in words that were never meant to heal you? That weight isn't love. It's resistance. And resistance is a sign that God is redirecting your energy. The hardest part about releasing something is that it often doesn't look bad. Sometimes what you're letting go of is good, just not God-aligned. The season was real, but it's over. The person was a teacher, not a lifetime companion. The dream was divine for a while, but now its purpose has been fulfilled. Heaven doesn't remove without replacing, but you can't receive what's next while you're clinging to what's gone. Ask yourself, what are you still holding on to that heaven has already released? What relationships, habits, or fears still occupy the space where your next blessing is supposed to land? You can't walk into a new chapter carrying the ghosts of the last one. Every time you revisit what hurt you, you reopen a door God already closed for your protection. Releasing isn't rejection, it's respect for yourself, for your growth, and for God's timing. Every time you let go, you're declaring, I trust the author more than I trust this chapter. And in that surrender, power is born, because faith isn't proven by how tightly you can hold on. It's proven by how gracefully you can release. There's a sacred silence that follows true release. It's not empty, it's peaceful. It's heaven whispering, now I can work. The space that feels lonely at first is actually fertile ground for divine newness. That's where God plants the seeds of your next season, in the soil you cleared with your surrender. Remember this, you can't lose what was never meant for your future. The things, people, and opportunities that truly belong to you will never require you to sacrifice your peace to keep them. When something ends, it's because it has completed its spiritual purpose. Your soul already knows that. It just needs your heart to catch up. Letting go is not weakness. It's worship. It's saying, God, I trust you more than I trust my understanding. It's choosing obedience over attachment. It's realizing that sometimes the door doesn't close because it's broken. It closes because you've outgrown the room. So today, breathe deeply and release. Release the version of yourself that begged to be understood. Release the ones who couldn't see your worth. Release the dreams that drained more life than they gave. Release everything that dimmed your fire just to make others comfortable. Because the moment you truly let go, you'll feel it. The shift, the lightness, the expansion. Heaven rushing in to fill every space your surrender created. You're not walking away empty-handed. You're walking away open-hearted. And what's coming next will make you grateful for everything that left. Chosen one, silence can be the loudest season of your life. When everything goes quiet, when people pull away, plans fall through, and even heaven seems still. It's not because you've been forgotten. It's because something sacred is being built in the unseen. God works best in silence. He forms your destiny the same way he formed creation, hidden, patient, and powerful. You might not see it yet, but new alignments are already being written into your story. The connections that match your next level, the opportunities that honor your worth, the environments that nurture your peace, they're being prepared even now. Heaven is adjusting timelines, rerouting paths, and weaving divine appointments behind the curtain of your current stillness. It's frustrating sometimes, isn't it? You pray, you wait, and nothing seems to move. You start to wonder, did I miss my chance? Or did I take the wrong path? But what if this silence isn't punishment? What if it's incubation? What if the reason everything feels still is because heaven is synchronizing everything you prayed for to arrive in perfect order? God never rushes destiny. He aligns it. Every delay carries precision. Every pause carries protection. And in this quiet, He's ensuring that what's meant for you won't just meet you. It will fit you. You see, chosen one, divine connections require divine timing. If God sent certain people or blessings too soon, you might not recognize their purpose, or worse, you might mishandle them. So He waits. He prepares you privately so you can receive publicly without losing your balance. Ask yourself, could it be that the people who left were simply creating space for the ones who are coming? Could it be that the opportunities you lost were only placeholders for something greater that needs a little more time to mature? The silence is not a void. It's a workshop. Heaven is constructing something custom-made for your soul. The new alignments coming your way aren't random. They are responses to your growth. You've raised your frequency. You've refined your energy. And now the universe is rearranging itself to meet you at this higher vibration. That's why everything that's not aligned has been falling away. You're being calibrated for sacred company, the kind that doesn't compete with your light, but amplifies it. The kind that speaks life into your purpose, instead of doubt into your dreams. You've met enough people who drained you. Now you're about to meet the ones who pour into you. God is protecting these alignments because they carry destiny-level weight. These aren't just friendships or partnerships, they are assignments. People who carry keys to unlock new chapters in your purpose. And they won't find you by accident. They'll be guided, drawn by the same divine pull that's been stirring your own heart. The waiting can feel lonely, but it's strategic. Heaven isolates you before it integrates you, so that when you finally step into the circle God designed for you, you recognize it as sacred. You'll know instantly, these are my people. This is my place. So if you're in a season of silence, don't mistake it for stillness. The soil looks quiet before the seed breaks through, but everything is moving beneath the surface. God is aligning hearts, circumstances, and timing all at once. And when the moment comes, it will unfold naturally, not forced, not delayed, not fragile. You won't have to chase what's aligned with heaven. It will recognize your frequency and find you. Hold steady in the silence, chosen one. Because soon, the doors that were closed will open with ease. The people who are meant to walk beside you will appear effortlessly, and you'll realize the silence wasn't empty after all. It was pregnant with purpose. God's silence is not absence, it's architecture. And when the construction is complete, you'll see everything that stayed quiet was building something extraordinary for you. Chosen one, sometimes a new chapter doesn't begin with fireworks. It begins with a whisper. It begins with subtle shifts, small signs, and quiet confirmations that only your spirit can detect. You may not have realized it yet, but the new has already started. The transition wasn't one moment. It was a series of divine nudges, guiding you closer to alignment. You see, New beginnings rarely announce themselves. They unfold through sensations. The sudden peace you feel after finally letting go. The deep breath that doesn't carry anxiety anymore. The way your mornings start to feel lighter. These are not coincidences. They are signals. Heaven has already turned the page, even if your mind is still processing the ending. One of the first signs that your new chapter has begun is inner stillness. The battles that used to consume you no longer have power. You've stopped explaining yourself to those who can't understand your path. You've stopped forcing what doesn't flow. The silence that once scared you now feels sacred. That's not emptiness. That's peace. It means your energy has matured beyond chaos. Another sign is divine detachment. The things you used to crave no longer interest you. You can scroll past the same distractions and feel nothing. The old temptations don't tempt you anymore. The world hasn't changed. You have. You're not fighting for attention. You're focused on assignment. The noise outside can't compete with the voice inside. Ask yourself, have you noticed how your spirit no longer argues with your old self? How the version of you that used to react now simply observes in silence? That's transformation. That's the soul expanding. It's heaven's proof that the work within you is complete enough for what's coming next. You may also feel an unexplainable anticipation. It's not anxiety, it's divine awareness. Something in your spirit knows that new opportunities, new people, and new places are approaching. You can't name it, but you can feel it. You start to wake up earlier. You feel pulled to clean your space, to write again, to plan again, to dream again. That's the energy of resurrection, the breath of God filling your future. Another undeniable sign, synchronicities. Numbers, dreams, conversations, and messages aligning too perfectly to ignore. You think of someone and they call. You imagine an idea and confirmation appears hours later. Heaven is speaking through the language of patterns, reminding you that you're on the right frequency. These are not random. They are divine breadcrumbs leading you home to your purpose. And perhaps the clearest sign of all, peace after pain. The storm didn't destroy you. It cleansed you. You don't feel the need to seek revenge, prove yourself, or explain your worth anymore. That's maturity born from warfare. You survived the shaking, and now you understand that everything that left only made room for what's real. Chosen one, your new chapter doesn't begin when others notice it. It begins when you accept it. You're already walking in it. You've been shifting for months, learning to hear differently, love differently, pray differently. The tears you cried watered the soil you're standing on now. The darkness you endured was never punishment. It was preparation. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly aligned with peace? When did you realize that what once broke you now barely moves you? That's how you know. You've changed. You've crossed the threshold. The version of you that suffered isn't gone. It's evolved into something luminous. Heaven doesn't need to announce when your new chapter begins. Your energy does. The universe feels it, angels celebrate it, and your soul radiates it. You're no longer being prepared. You're being presented. So don't wait for a big sign. The small ones are already surrounding you. The clarity you feel, the quiet confidence, the new faces entering your orbit. All of it confirms that the promise is already unfolding. The old chapter ended silently, and this new one began the same way, not with noise, but with knowing. You're living the beginning you once prayed for, even if it hasn't fully revealed itself yet. Breathe, trust, walk forward. The page has already turned. Chosen one, you've stood through the storms, walked through endings, and surrendered to silence. You've shed versions of yourself that once defined you, and you've learned to trust what you couldn't see. Now, heaven whispers one command to your spirit: move. This is the moment all your preparation has been leading to. The restlessness, the detachment, the isolation, they weren't punishments, they were positioning. You've been refined in secret so that you can rise in strength. The time for hesitation is over. The old world no longer fits you because you were never meant to stay there. The light in you has outgrown the rooms that once contained it. Faith, in its truest form, isn't walking when the path is clear. It's stepping forward when all you have is a whisper that says, go. You've been asking for a sign, but the sign is that you're still standing. You've survived too much to start doubting now. Every scar is proof that God has already equipped you for what's next. Ask yourself, what's really holding you back now? Fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear that the promise was too big for someone like you? Listen carefully, chosen one. You were never too small for the promise. The promise was too sacred to be given before you were ready. And now you are ready. You've been tempered by fire, softened by mercy, and strengthened by grace. What you carry inside you is not ordinary. It's divine technology, encoded with resilience and light. That's why every setback refined you instead of breaking you. You thought you were being delayed, but heaven was syncing your steps with perfect timing. The promise hasn't been cancelled, it's been cultivated. Every season of silence watered it. Every moment of pain fertilized it. And now, the soil of your soul is ready for the harvest. But you must move. The door won't open until you walk toward it. Faith is motion. It's saying yes before the how is revealed. It's trusting that what you can't see is more real than what you can. The path ahead won't be predictable, but it will be divine. God doesn't guide with explanations, He guides with confirmation. And every breath you take in peace is a signal that you're walking the right way. There will be moments where doubt tries to whisper, "What if you're wrong?" But as faith will answer, "What if I'm right?" You are not walking into the unknown, you're walking into what's been waiting for you all along. Heaven has gone before you, clearing obstacles, aligning people, and setting the stage for your arrival. Chosen one, you've been through too much to stay small now. You are no longer the version of yourself that begs for sense. You are the Son. You're the living evidence that God still fulfills His promises. You are the answer to the prayers of generations that came before you. So move, even if your voice trembles, even if your knees shake. Move because stillness now would be disobedience. Move because your faith is the final key to unlock everything you've prayed for. The promise won't meet you where you are standing. It will meet you mid-step. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment and trusted that this is it? What if you believed that your next act of faith would shift the entire atmosphere of your life? Because it will. The moment you move, heaven moves with you. This is your Red Sea moment. The waters will not part until your foot touches the edge. You don't need to know how it will happen. You just need to believe that it will. The angels are already in motion. The path is already written. The blessing is already bearing your name. So go. Leave the fear. Leave the hesitation. Leave the weight of who you used to be. God is not asking you to understand. He's asking you to trust. The promise is not waiting in the distance. It's waiting in your next act of courage. The story isn't ending. It's opening. The silence wasn't empty. It was sacred. And your faith is the key that unlocks everything. Move now, chosen one. The promise is ready, and so are you.